Pledge and prayer. Or
Sure. Join me in the pledge. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Victor, would you lead us in prayer, please?
Father God, we thank you for this beautiful day you've allowed us to come together. God, we thank you for everything you're doing here. We still are always asking for your guidance. In the mighty name of Jesus, we pray. Amen.
Amen. We need a roll call, please.
Counselor Howard,
Here.
Counselor Lawrence,
Here.
Counselor Watson,
Here.
Mayor Pro Tem Segala,
Here.
Mayor Becker.
Here.
A quorum is declared.
Do you have any modifications to the agenda?
No, sir, not at this time.
Approval of consent agenda from the minutes of regular meeting from September 18th, 2025, and approval of accounts payable. Move to approve the consent agenda.
Seconded.
It's been moved and seconded to approve the consent agenda for the minutes of regular meeting from September 18th, 2025, and approval of accounts payable. Is there any discussion? Unita?
Counselor Howard,
Yes.
Counselor Lawrence,
Yes.
Counselor Watson,
Aye.
Mayor Pro Tem
Aye.
Segala. Mayor Becker,
Aye.
motion carries to approve the consent agenda.
Okay, we'll move to citizen comments. Okay, we'll go ahead and move to scheduled appearances. Marie won't say nothing, and if I call her out on it, she'll do that right there.
Throws up into herself.
She's reporting today. Well, Larry Brown, the Coffee Project.
Thank you.
Is it? I've got more in the folder. I'm sorry.
So maybe,
Don't like my thing?
yeah.
Here on invitation from Unita, so I don't know if she has told you or wants to introduce why I'm here.
So I asked Larry Brown to come and go over the new project for the coffee project. He gave his presentation with the chamber and I was very impressed and really wanted him to come and give this presentation. This is on suicide prevention and I'll let him go ahead and present it and tell you why it's really important to our community and why I think we should all be involved in it.
Give me a thing we didn't talk about is the time. Give me a time target you want me to.
It's weird.
I'm good.
That's dangerous.
Look at me and I'll cut you off.
Okay, there you go. So this is called we call it the Coffee Project or Coffee Break Project. What it is rural mental health awareness and ag suicide prevention. Turns out that of all categories or sectors, ag suicide in the ag sector tends to be between the second and third highest suicide rate of all categories or all sectors. And this Coffee Break Project started over in the lower Arkansas Valley in eastern Colorado about 7 or 8 years ago in response to there was within about a 6-week period there were 4 ag suicides of fairly major community leaders actually within that community in a very short period of time. And from that came a number of things, but what basically came about was what they call the Coffee Break Project. And it's actually over there. They actually have a physical location, and every morning it's open for coffee and donuts, and there's a person that staffs it, and it's just open for farmers and ranchers to stop by and have coffee and visit, socialize, check on one another, that sort of thing. It's grown to where veterans come, other community members come. So it's just become a place for people to come and meet and socialize and watch after one another. So about 2.5 years ago or 3 years ago, we had an ag suicide here in the valley that really shocked. Not that every suicide doesn't, but this was a young farmer and successful farmer by all accounts on a lot of the boards and everything else, and committed suicide. And so that really kind of rocked the community and brought some awareness over here. And so it was suggested to me by my supervisor at the time and offered to me by the people that kind of run this project to they would spend some time and effort, you know, if we would spearhead it to start a similar sort of program over here. So we don't have the facility, we don't make coffee for everybody every morning, but we still call it the Coffee Project here. We formed a San Luis Valley Coffee Project Ag Advisory Group, and it's made up of a number of farmers and ranchers, and there's a banker, Zena Boozer from Adams State is on it. It's Will Brenton with the Moscow Hooper Conservation District. It's a pretty good broad advisory group, and so we meet once a month for the last 2.5 years and talk about the kind of programming that we can offer and what extension can do to put it together and help make it happen. Valley-wide Health Systems is the major player in it from that standpoint, and it was J.C. Carica at the time who was the vice president of outreach. I'm probably saying that wrong, but a vice president with Valley-wide Health Systems, and he was instrumental in the beginning of this coffee bake project and what we call the COMET training, which is the primary training that's associated with it. And so he's been coming to the Valley. He's just recently switched companies from Valley-wide to another health company. I believe it's called Axis or something very similar to that over in the Four Corners area. But at any rate, he's still involved. But the project is set up with what they call investors, and it's a little bit misleading because it's not a financial investment. But it's people that you see on the bottom of your brochure there. Over here, we have the Moscow Hooper Conservation District, Rio Grande Conservation District, Center Conservation District, Adams State University, Rocky Mountain Farmers Union, Delmore Bank, Rio Grande Seed and Grain, San Luis Valley Air Extension. But the investors, again, it's not a financial investment. It's somebody who believes in the mission and is willing to support it in a couple of ways, and then will agree to put their logo on materials. The point of that primarily is to help hopefully reduce the stigma of a person in distress asking for help or feeling that they're going that way asking for help. And because especially in the ag community, that's one of the reasons that the suicide rate is so high comparatively, is probably because of all sectors. Farmers and ranchers are some of the last ones that are going to go looking for help or ask for help. And so that's a lot of what the investor part of it is about, is to help show that the community as a whole supports this and supports people getting help and hopefully reduce that stigma. So the cornerstone training that's kind of a part of this is called the COMET training, and it's COMET stands for Changing Our Mental and Emotional Trajectory. It's a soft skills training about 2 hours long, and it's not designed to make us mental health professionals or psychiatrists or psychologists or anything like that, but it's the whole notion behind it is to train and encourage growing to a massive force of just lay people, community people who after going through this training have maybe a little bit heightened awareness of when they are in contact with somebody who is in distress, that they maybe recognize that a little bit better, and then have some tools of just how to open a conversation in a safe way with that person. and give them a chance to interact and talk to them. And a lot of times we call that being the other person. And a lot of times that's all it takes to change somebody's trajectory from going further down to stress to actually turning it around where they are doing better or willing to find help to do better. It also gives us the tools to recognize when this is a crisis situation, in which case, then we have some training and to, so what do you do if that's the case? Well, I really care about you, and this is way in over my head, but what I'm going to do is stay with you right now. But I want to call 988 with you. Is that okay? And or 911 if it should be the case that they're actually, for example, with a firearm or something like that already at that point. And so again, just preparing us and kind of training us that way, knowing when to get the outside help. And so very briefly overview, that's what the COMET training is about. We set a goal with our advisory board here back in the beginning to have a COMET training a month in the Valley. We're close to that, probably not quite there, but we're somewhere probably in the neighborhood of having had 20 to 25 trainings. We have probably in the neighborhood at this point of 130 to 140 people in the Valley that's been through the training. The idea behind that is that in the mental health profession, they are way short on professionally trained technicians or people, professionals, and to the point that they can barely handle the ones that are already over here in the crisis situation. The idea behind this is that we're not focused on the crisis. We're looking at the possibility of again changing the trajectory of these people that are moving that direction before they get to that crisis situation. So that's kind of the notion behind it. And then the potential power of it is that even if you look at the people in this room, 10, most of us will come into some sort of contact with probably at least 10 people a day, maybe only 2 or 3 that's a real actually interaction, but we might, pass going in and out of a door of a store or something, several people. But the point being is, in the course of a day, if these 10 people were trained, that's potentially 100 people a day, 100 contacts a day that one of us might recognize this person being in distress and actually be able to do something to help change that. Well, if you take that times 30 days in a month, times 12 months in a year, you can see it's a massive amount of contact with the potential of just lay people noticing something and helping to turn that around. So probably every person in this room has been the other person already from time to time, whether you know it or not. And so this is just kind of putting some training and some confidence in it to be that person. So that's a little bit about the COMET training. Any questions about any of that so far?
When's your next class, Larry?
So what we've always done and what we're still doing now is we haven't advertised broadly like we do most of our programs. We're actually just doing it through organizations or businesses or something like that want to have that training. So we've done it for all the conservation districts for their boards. We've done it for several of the banks who wanted to do it for their employees or boards. It's been done for, I think, 4 times for the Monte Vista Co-op for their employees. Not the same employees, but 4 times so that different employees could get in there to them and that sort of thing. Most of the people on this card have had the training, not quite all of them. Who am I missing? The CPAC has done it offered it for their board. And so JC Carica has been the one doing the training. I put my staff through it. I've been through the training a couple times as a student. I've been through about 8 or 10 additional ones as just kind of a co-facilitator or assistant. And then just last week, I actually got my facilitator training and certification to actually be the one that facilitates the class. We're still going to be working with Valley-wide health systems. Jocelyn Catterson she's on our Ag Advisory Board. She's with Wright, Rio Grande Headwaters Land Trust. And she has recently secured some funding actually to help us expand what we're doing, get materials and things like this. And so she's a co-facilitator and core coordinator. She hasn't been trained as a common facilitator yet. She put her board through it, but she will be soon. Carol Gurulay in our office, the other faculty member, is Spanish speaking. They do have a Spanish version. We just learned the other day during our training that they do have a Spanish version, but it's a very poor translation. And so we're working on getting that done. But with Carol being trained, we're actually able to offer it in Spanish as well very soon. So to answer your question, if you wanted your staff at your business to go through it, it would just be calling us, and it would just be a matter of setting an appointment. If you wanted the council to go through, or your city employees offer it for them, it would just be a matter of getting with us and scheduling a time that's going to work for us. So that's kind of the way we're doing it right now.
Okay.
Some of the other things we've done, in the fall of last year, we did a fairly major push for an ag stress management workshop, and that was very well attended with about 80 people. Nearly half of them were actually youth. And we followed that up with a couple of communications workshops. Our ag advisory board came up with the realization that we just don't socialize much anymore. And felt like one of the ways that we could maybe affect this was to have ag socials. And so we're planning another one now. We had 3 in the course of the last year. Our plan is to try and do it quarterly. But we had one at the farm brewery last, I believe it was November. We had one in Saguache in the early spring. Both of those were very well attended. We had one in the late spring, early summer in Antonito, and we had a few people there. So we're in the process of planning another couple of ag socials coming up, hopefully here in the fall and early spring. That's probably the main points of it. So if there's any questions or thoughts on it, be happy to entertain them. I think
Worthy cause. It's a worthy cause.
oh, thank you.
The 988 number, I take that's
That's a nationwide suicide prevention hotline. Yeah. They were, and the other thing is we carry these cards in our pockets that are the real trained professionals to help a couple of different options. And so when we get to that point, we can pull that out. For a while there, and there may be some partly active, for a while there, they actually had a specific agricultural suicide hotline, which was wonderful because as we all know, agricultural speaks a different language in many ways and has, somebody that would really understand the stresses that go along with agriculture and this sort of thing. We just learned that at our training last week that most of or all of those are actually funded by grants and soft funding. And so with the current situation, they're not sure about the stability of them. And so rather than giving out a card now and a number now that we might use 4 months from now, and they call that number and there's no answer. So instead of doing that, they just quit referring to that number and they're instructing us to just use the 988. So, but we've had, my family's been touched by suicide. My first marriage, I lived with a suicidal spouse. She still survives, fortunately. I have a nephew that we lost to suicide, a business partner. So I've been touched by it, and I guess that's one of the reasons I have a compassion and empathy for it. When I very first came back to this job, before even knowing about this program, ways even he said our dad said so glad back to students like that, really shocked me. Said he was in a really bad place, and he fought one day and he got better, and he said I had no idea. So saying we've all been that other person. Since doing this, we've had 5 cases that I can remember in the neck. People actually called in at varying levels of that trajectory. and been able to sit with them, and sometimes that all it took. Sometimes three of the cases we did referrals and just help them get on that track to get help. And we actually had one situation where one of the conservation district supervisors that had been through the training was driving down the road and saw that his neighbor at the end of the haystack with a gun to his head, and pulled in and gave him one of our flyers. And we never will say that we saved anybody, but at this point, as far as we know, all of those people are still living. That's not something we encourage. You know, you see something at that point, you're putting yourself in danger. Going, that's part of our training too, but nonetheless, it's a worthy program. So that's what we do. And if any of you would like, I think what we needed that day was apparently in just a day or two prior to that, there was a situation here that was a crisis situation. So if there's any interest at all in having one of these common trainings or learning more about it, let me know, which would be happy to work with you.
Larry, I have a question.
Mhm.
So are you guys? I just think about like the sub districts right now and the potential of the state shutting down wells and such. Do we have has anyone from the state shown interest in this program, or, you know, the utility companies, since they're the ones that could be shutting off meters and that sort of thing?
We've kind of like Anita said, just kind of did a brief report on it, or just put it out there at one of the Rio Grande Water Conservation District's full meetings earlier this year. And I got a call from the Division of Water Resources, and just a month ago asked us to do this same presentation basically to them, an overview. And so they're planning on offering it to their entire staff, but a little bit later in the fall. And I was shocked in a way. Well, I was shocked they opened up so readily. Not really shocked at what we heard, but the staff members in the Division of Water Resources started opening up immediately when we started talking about this. They're saying yes. I mean, 5 of them said that they had people that they had this similar sort of experience with. A couple of them said, yeah, we'll go back and check on them twice a week. And so, you know, it's out there. So that's where we are right now. And we haven't been invited to do a comment for a sub-district yet, or for the Rio Grande Water Conservation District. But we have been asked now to make the same presentation to the roundtable. And so it's getting like, thank you for your interest in the fund. Let me know.
Thank you, Larry. Appreciate your time.
Pleasure. Hey.
Take care, Larry.
Have a good evening.
No, Ruthie, hi. It's really interesting that you presented tonight, because Unita had told me this. And of course, for those of you who don't think your phone's listening to you, I had a feed come across last night, and it was in regards to this. And agriculture is the highest suicide rate there is in the United States at this point in time. Even more than traders and stuff like that. So it was, to hear this was very interesting, but to read what I read last night, it was some of the points that it brought across, like I'm talking about like wheat prices. Wheat prices today are the same as they were in 1975. And one of the comments was a combine in 1975 was about $30,000. Today, a brand new combine is $1 million. So it puts it all in perspective. Guess we will move right on down to staff proposals, reports and actions. Anita, city clerk.
So, good evening, Mayor and Council. Just to follow up on Larry's presentation. One of the things that wanted me to have him come and present to this evening to you is that yes, it touches the agriculture community, but that also trickles down to everybody. The prices of wheat and everything that's gone up. You know, it may maintain the same in the field, but it's gone up in the grocery stores. And it's Gigi's mentioned, you know, the well's closing. The water's going up, you know, we've increased our water rates. I did tell Larry that I am interested in taking the class, so I will be taking the class. I think it would be a good idea for like Michelle Ingram to take the class because she deals with customers that come in to the front desk. One of the things that happened last week was we had a customer a defendant that came in to pay his bill, and when he walked in the door, he told Sarah, he says, take all my money, I don't need it. I'm just gonna go and die, and kept mumbling under his breath, I just wanna die, I'm gonna go do it. So Sarah reported it to me. I called the police department, I let them know. Jessica Mormon, Officer Mormon went out and did a welfare check. She was able to talk to the gentleman, he's an older gentleman. I mean, he literally gave Sarah everything he had in his pocket, and he didn't owe that much, but he gave her everything and then left. So he came in and got some of his money back, but Officer Mormon did go out and do a welfare check, so. To me, I think this is a really important program, so I am going to take part of it, so if any of you want to take part of it, please let me know. But myself and Sarah are both going to take part of it, because we deal with public every day. And no, it's not so much the agriculture community, but we do deal with public that maybe we can identify in that field. That maybe we can help save a life as well. So that's what promoted me to also wanted to bring it forward to you. With that, we're working just on, I'm updating vendor permits, event permits, resolutions for remote participation. So Gigi, we looked at it, and right now you guys have a resolution out there that allows you to attend a council meeting remotely only under the COVID Act. So we need to redo that resolution that will allow you to attend a meeting remotely that's not COVID. So we will be doing that, working on updating the council handbook, which will be ready at the January 1st meeting. And we've been working on the nuisance code and additional items. We did the second round of the Faith Complete brick orders. Unfortunately, we only got a total of 20 bricks that were ordered. They should be here within about 6 to 8 weeks. Andrew with Public Works and myself will lay those bricks, and then Andrew will seal them once they're laid. Andrew and I are going to do it ourselves to help cut costs because there was only 20 bricks that came in for the order. I'm going to continue to work with Jean on the food truck ordinance and have that to you before the end of the year. Under the PIO, we continue to maintain the website, the Facebook pages, and continue to refer RFPs and all required posts to the Monte Vista Journal and send out public service announcements to the radio. Sarah continues to update Common Look and take all the classes for the ADA compliance and update our website, Facebook, and all of our documents that run through it. With court, we are nearing the end of the year, and currently we have 227 cases. We've been working with the code enforcement officer, the city attorney, and the judge on drug houses and abatements. We also been working with DJ on the nuisance code. We had an RFP out for the municipal judge. It closed October 1st, and we have 4 applicants that have submitted their RFPs. With that being said, we have interviews scheduled for October 9th. So on October 9th, do you guys want to start at 5:30 or 6?
We make it on the 5:30. 5:30. 5:30 on October 9th.
You okay with 5:30? So those 4 candidates are James McDonald, John Stanger, Mark Lloyd, and Carly Tenitzer Decker.
Say them again.
James McDonald, John Stanger, Mark Lloyd, Carly Tenitzer Decker.
I'll spell that back to you.
TARNUTZER. Decker. Looks like Becker, but with it.
We're a bunch of comedians tonight.
Gigi and I spoke earlier today, and the questions, we're gonna see if Tyler and myself and Gigi will come up with a few questions and get them to you. Do you all want to add questions as well, or do you want just staff to come up with questions?
See what staff comes up with, and if you have anything, if you can give them to us, if we have anything, we can fill it in next, so we can, and everybody knows.
I'll get those to you by the 6th.
That's Monday.
Oh, can we get those to them by Monday? Other duties that I've been working on, I've attended the chamber meetings, and some of the things that I want to announce to you through the chamber is that the chamber is, they've started the Moonlight Madness. But they are looking for volunteers to help promote and coordinate the event. They're not going to be able to do it this year. So they are looking for people to help promote the event. So if you know of anybody downtown, new businesses, they would be interested in helping to coordinate, promote the event, that would be great. You can contact me. The other events that are coming up, that will be October 31st, by the way, from 3 p.m. to 8 p.m. Other events coming up is the Holiday Bazaar, December 5th through the 7th out at Sky High, and then the Ag Conference, February 3rd through 5th out at Sky. And then the last thing I'll report on is you all remember Destination Blueprint that started with Gigi and DJ? Destination Blueprint. That program had been turned over to the chamber. The chamber, with everything, had budgeted $10,000 that was set aside for the tourism marketing consultant. They did interviews in August. There were 3 applicants. And they did hire some gentleman by the name of Ryan Scavo. He works with Fable Communications. I did reach out to Mr. Scavo, and hopefully he will be here on the 16th to give you all a presentation of what his outlook and what he wants to do with the marketing for the tourism for Monte Vista. And then the last thing would be work sessions. So I'm sorry, but I'm not giving you a choice for you. October 6th at 6 o'clock, you'll have the first round of budget work sessions. And then October 8th at 6 o'clock, you'll have the second round of budget work sessions. And then on October 14th, if that all works for you, we would like to have a work session to discuss the nuisance code. That will be with Tyler, DJ, myself, Jean, and Gigi. Who are those?
Including what day?
October 14th.
I've got a little conflict on that.
I thought you said the 14th worked for you. That's Tuesday.
14th of November, or October.
October.
I have a conflict day in that, I didn't in November. You don't know.
Yeah. October.
Thirteenth would be fine,
13th,
right?
because DJ can do it
Oh,
either.
no, I'm
13th.
sorry, I'm sorry. I could do it earlier in the day. Afternoon.
You all can't do it in the afternoon. The 14th is a Tuesday.
I would have made you the budget.
You can't make either one under the budget meetings. What about by Zoom?
14th, how early in the afternoon?
Do you do any ideas?
Well, even 2 or 3 o'clock, something like that.
I can probably stop there.
14th,
Oh.
3.
October 14th at 3. Do you have DJ's calendar? You have one? The DJ. Put you on the. Yeah, 3 o'clock on the 14th. Okay. Jason, would you like, so I know that she has a copy of the budget.
Yes.
Okay, and then you can. And then you can just get comments and. Huh? Oh, I'm sure we will. Any other questions? Any questions, comments?
Some of you know how the dates and times, please.
Okay.
Public Works.
If you give me just 1 second, I need to upload his.
Okay. Sure.
I'll keep doing that. I'll just kind of give you a idea of so Public Works, there's a ton of stuff going on, so I was been trying to figure out how I wanted to do this. And the old saying says a picture's worth 1,000 words, so I'm hoping a few pictures is worth 1,000 projects, because that's kind of what this summer's been like for Public Works. So I'm gonna be loading up a little short PowerPoint presentation just to kind of highlight a few of the things that we've been doing, to kind of, and then I unfortunately have to turn it around and make sure council understands some of how our community is evolving, and as such, some of the demands on Public Works, how that's evolving. And in some ways, we're not trained and we're not capable to meet some of these things, and I will highlight some pictures to show you some of the active things that we have up, that's going on right now. There's going to be a more formal, presentation in the next month or so once code enforcement's back. And that's one of the reasons why I've asked to be a part of the nuisance code. I've also reached out to our city attorney to get some feedback, because back in the day, there was a thing where residents were asked to maintain their alleys, to more of the center of the alley on both properties, just like you do on sidewalks. You're supposed to maintain your property up to the back of the curb. That's kind of fallen through the wayside, so I'd like to try to figure out ways to get that back. So people start taking on more pride of the alleys they can. In several decades, it's not a recent thing, it's over several decades. People have just turned them into a trash storage heap and we suffer for that more than anything, so, either whenever you're ready, so, this is I'm hoping informational, but at the same token, kind of fun for you at the same time. This is a combined project that just took place, this is up at the new hotel. This is a combined project between the city of Monte Vista and, Cooley and Sons. I'd like to thank, Mr. James Cooley for his work. We did both the water taps, the storm, or not, excuse me, the fire suppression line, the domestic service, and a fire hydrant for the hotel all in the same day. Two different crews running simultaneously in two different work zones, which are still coned off. In some instances, this is actually a video, I don't know if it'll play for you or not, but this is a little compactor that Cooley had that, my ex absolutely fell in love with. So, but it's a combined little setup, our backhoe, they're maniacs with the compact, they're bringing dirt over, they're compacting it, so everybody's happy. So it turned into a really nice, easy project that we completed in about 8 hours. So it was, and you can go ahead and go to the next slide, David. So our summer, if you will, started out with our typical maintenance. This is a project over at Chapman Restrooms, where we completely gutted and stripped everything out of those restrooms and redid them all, so, that's one of our employees in his suit, scrubbing all the walls down and pressure washing them, and years and years worth of grime and sprinkler system going through, so took everything off, we took all the grout and everything that had seized through, we redid it, we repainted it, we resealed the block. And we epoxied the floor, so, did a pretty good job. You can't see, but we also went in and we hired a contractor to review all the electrical in there, we installed, hand dryers, because there wasn't any hand dryers or any paper towels in there. So we figured we'd just go ahead and upgrade them. Next slide. Also, every year, something that most folks don't realize, that's a picture of our veterans wastewater plant, is we have to take it from mothball and bring it back into service. So that's one. And he's pulling the big, our big lift pump from our lift station, and he's maintaining it. And so that's a sewage pump. And it's usually in the ground about 13, 14 feet. And you have to maintain it, and every once in a while, citizens, if you ever buy flushable wipes, remember they don't dissolve. That's what he's digging out of that particular pump, is flushable wipes. So that's not a fun job by any means. Next slide. This is a culvert replacement that took place right over here in the alley in Rupert. The old culvert, that's what our manholes are, rusted out and collapsed. So we're in there with a new piece, just putting another fix on it. So that's for our employees. Next slide. We do some fun things. This is this year's Arbor Day celebration. This is planting some trees. Our crew, some kids from our local elementary, a couple of our citizens, I think Gigi's out there. So those are some of the more fun things that we get to do as Public Works. Next slide. And another fun thing for most people is nothing's better than spending a day on the water. Except when you happen to be on the lagoon. So part of their job at the wastewater lagoons, with that picture, is those tubes that you see there, that actually supplies the air to create the bugs that actually need the sewage. So those get plugged, they also get rips and tears. So every spring, the guys have to go out on the boat. And with our two systems, those things are getting older and older. This year, we replaced 400 feet of those diffusers. So we have it in our budget to replace another 400 feet this next year. So we can figure out what we're doing with the new wastewater plant. So they still keep a fairly decent idea, but it's a rowboat, it's heavy. They're about, when they're coming up out of the water, waterlogged, they each weigh roughly 170, 180 pounds that the two guys are trying to pull out. So they are heavy. It's a really it's a dirty, rough job. So next slide. This is one of our bigger unknown projects. Most of you don't realize, but this year over at Sherman, we redid the pump. We put some resiliency in there. We installed a backup generator. We put some SCADA system in there. And then unbeknownst to us, Lauren knows, but I didn't know, there is such a thing that different transformers don't necessarily talk to new data. So we had to have an upgrade of the electrical transformers because they would not talk to the new transfer switch for that or the VFD that we put in for the pump. So we worked with Excel. That was a change order that I was not wanting and didn't expect. But we did get it. So next slide, Lena. We did get our generator installed. It is working. Everything is working as it should. That is a good addition to our Sherman pump. So now we have 2 pumps that are on backup generators. It was supposed to be 3 this year, but our little unbeknownst change order took away that 3rd one this year, because that was a fairly expensive little fix. So we have 2 generators, a backup motor. So we still have 3, and we did upgrade all the SCADA on all 3 of them. So they actually talk to each other. So Prospect, Jackson, and Sherman, they all talk to each other. Jackson has been moved to the lag pump. Because we have to go turn that one on then. And go to the transfer switch. And actually gives the attention. Next slide. This is also there at the hotel. This is the water system, the bigger pipe that you see. That's the main, that's a asbestos concrete pipe. That's the main that runs up Sherman. We had to cut that, put a T in. That was part of the agreement that council agreed for the development. We had to install a 6-inch fire suppression line and then a 4-inch domestic. So that's that going in. You can see there's natural gas, electric, and then right behind the operator on the back is another line of fiber right behind it. So a lot of utilities in there. So fairly large job. We'll wrap all the ductile iron in plastic. That's what's down at the bottom. So good crew. Good crew. That's all city staff. So this is the switch, and that's okay, Matt. Switching from that. So this is a picture. This is where we kind of evolve from what we used to do. This is a property that we cleaned up. And this is an example of what we used to do. This property was overgrown with weeds and stuff, and we went in and we cut the weeds and we pulled it back. That had been historically, when I refer to a property cleanup, that's what that is. Every once in a while, there's some trash and debris we have to remove. Next slide. This is the other thing that we do on a regular basis. If we get some people that like to go in and they trash our playgrounds and stuff of that nature that we take care of. Next slide. This is where we're going. This is properties in town that we are being asked to clean up. As you can see, a little more dilapidated. Considerably rougher to fix, a lot of tree overgrowth, a lot of vegetation. I don't know if you can see in the picture, but concrete growth. You can see that the shed is actually sitting on railroad ties. Next slide. We were asked to go into that garage and clean that garage out. That's where I've kind of drawn the line, because I actually know what's in there or what was in there. And we're not prepared to do that. We're not equipped nor trained to deal with what's actually in that garage.
Private garage,
What's that?
that private property,
It is private property.
why would they ask you for that?
We will explain that to you a little later, but it has to deal with drug houses. So, and the next one. And that is our typical property cleanup nowadays. That is over there, just outside the downtown. Next slide. That's the amount of debris, we're taking out, so it's not weeds, it's not. Taking care of a little bit of somebody not doing their job. That's somebody that gutted that property and threw it out. So that's where our jobs are evolving, and that's where not only as staff and the city attorneys, but the council, you need to be aware, this isn't a day's worth of work. Not by any stretch of the imagination. We've been on this project, this particular project for 3 days now, straight. The street school thing.
Does the property owner get billed for that?
He will.
So you might as well take a scrap of it.
And if they pay, great, but if not, it goes on a tax lien. Then it goes on to the property, and then it sits there until somebody buys it.
That's the one over here on the highway, huh?
You know, it's off of the Adams City. Next slide.
You have to go with,
And this is the other thing we're finding. This was recent, this last meter read. Guys are out meter reading. There were some things that were found previously. Gigi and I talked about it, and we said we were going to talk and read every single meter in town with this last read. And we found this, the dilapidated property hasn't been lived in. It is being lived in. We found that they scabbed water together. So they have been running water from there. And Cody also, as he explored the property, found that they illegally tapped into the power. So he did call Excel. And Excel came out and they cut the power. So if you look at you'll notice that the new windows, they were physically living in that house. Yeah. So that's on some. But so I. You know, but yes, you know, so we don't wait. Okay, hold on just a second. Chief will be right with you. No, you're fine. Just hang tight. Okay. Okay. No, you're fine. You're absolutely. So if you guys want to see I should grab it, but if you want to, before you leave tonight, I have the makeshift water device that we created in my office. You want to look at it, see what it is.
It's gotta have some kind of sharps, he's tapping on power.
Yeah, I don't know how he did the power, but yeah, he's pretty.
Well, you need
pretty
a
sharp.
shower, it's a couple of kitchen.
Well, we did something,
Yeah,
guys.
he's jumping baby.
So, anyway.
But not too many people are ballsy enough to do it.
I was in the, yeah, I'm not.
I imagine the lights went for the other night.
So,
That what? A lot of people do it. Do they? Oh.
next
Absolutely.
Thursday.
Talk about it.
So,
Yeah.
in the end of the day, it's always about the people. I do this every year in the summer. Is I pull all the guys together from Public Works. And we do in the summer barbecues, just to say things. Because most folks don't realize everything that we do within Public Works. Next slide. And of course, like I said, it's always about the people. So that was over at the theater, so. We try to have fun and still do the job.
Oh, I didn't even see him.
I always think this is a better part than the Christmas. This is Public Works version of the Christmas. So with that, any questions? I have a few other announcements. Project wise, we are final with the water taps on the alley project. So there will be no more water shutdowns unless something drastically ugly happens, which should not. We are doing concrete starting next week on the east alley. We're pouring the valley can on Tuesday, followed immediately with the actual pavement. That alley would be closed for at least 7 days after the complete paving is done while it cures. And then once we hit 3,000 pounds, we'll start opening up the alley. I'm gonna go slow with that. I wanna make sure, so don't, if you guys hear calls and you'll see the concrete, but the people wanna know why it's not open. We're letting the concrete cure before we put traffic on it. On the west side, the water tie-in's done. They're doing the sewer now and we're waiting on a CDOT permit so we can put the storm in. But most of it's getting done too, and we're gonna work all the way up until we hit the CDOT right away on the storm. If we're still working, waiting on a permit, because we can't get traffic control out there to be the last little tie-in. At the inlet there, just to the west of that alley of the storm drain. Without a traffic permit, from CDOT, so we're still waiting on that. So hopefully, I asked them to try to see what they can do, but, give you an idea, the one for the project over here between Dairy Queen and O'Reilly's got approved last week. And they have had that one since June. So the one for this project, will be in July. So I'm hoping I'm not waiting another one. So hopefully we'll have that. The 90 trees that were slated to be put in this year for our Forest Service grant are in. Nita, I sent you an email to help 2 pictures. If you wouldn't mind, if you could pull that up real quick. Sorry. We'll do a very good job of putting this all. Okay.
Just a second.
If not, that's, okay, but on each of the trees is a little card that says who it was that put it in, super trees. The USDA, Forest Service, combination. Super trees came in and they put in 90 trees in 3 days. We are tasked with the watering. We're finding it a little difficult with the equipment we have, or at least we have used for watering trees to keep up. So we're gonna have to be buying some bigger tanks. So we're gonna be working on that. It's a part of the grant, so it's not a big deal. It's just making sure. I don't want to buy a tank and a pump. And figure out, once we get another group of trees coming in next spring and summer, and just keep having to buy tanks. So I just want to kind of see where we are, get an idea what 90 trees look like. So that's the USDA symbol that's on every tree. So
the areas where the trees are, and I will forward you in my next council, I will forward you the maps as far as what was planted where, but in Scott's Trail, there's 36 trees that were there. 5 trees at the middle school, 3 trees at Full and Wider. 15, no, 10, excuse me, 10 trees at Marsh. And then, Terra del Sol has the remaining trees in it. So we did the little half circle. We did the big open space, and then we did along the roadways on city property there. So all 90 trees are in, they look really good. So really happy with them. If you get a chance to go out, right around, take a look. I think you'll be pleased. I mean, as you drive 160, you'll see them on Full and Wider. They really kind of fit that little opening that was there. So different species. So I'll get everybody a list of what was planted. We reached out and did some different species that should grow in this area that we don't really have here right now. So I did some oaks, we did some different species of maples. Trying to get a lot of that really deep, rich reds for the fall. I like having a lot of different colors. We've got some of those maples at your place. I think those are really nice when you see those, so those are what we're trying to do. As far as the other projects going on, the MMOF, that one's moving again. We did combine the MMOF and the HSIP grant into one for dollar reasons. We have survey going. There's a company that will be coming into town next week and start working with the different property owners on, probably won't be coming in next week, that's probably not the correct thing, but they'll be making contact with property owners. So you as council may get a few calls from people saying, what are these guys wanting? And it's our temporary constructions. There's 10 of them that we need along 160. So if you get a phone call from somebody that happens to live in that area, that's what it is, and they're legit. So, okay. Hopefully in 2 weeks, they have to pour over here at the hotel, the floor. And then once that's poured, then, concrete is gonna move over here to behind Subway, or not Subway, but Dairy Queen, excuse me, Dairy Queen. And that project will take a week to get done. So the revitalizing Main Street project will be done, should be done in roughly 2 weeks. As long as we get the floor over there done. So we're moving right along. Monday, APG will be in town at the airport to get the cracks lined out at the airport for that project. Contractor, CR is coming in on Tuesday. And then that project's starting, and the crack seal project at the airport on the runway will go for the rest of the week until Friday. So next week, I won't be in the office much. I'm gonna be in the field, so. And then we're gonna handle the concrete and then the crack seal. So APG is gonna have a ENT out there to kind of monitor when I'm gone, but I'm spend most of the time over here. Put the concrete in the alleyways, make sure. So, and show body kind of look. Looking those for the next one, we are gonna dial it, just like we would for concrete. Street. So we were using the CDOT specs all the way through, so, I know I talked a long time, so I'll open it up for any questions that you may have. There's a ton of stuff going for public works, just doesn't ever stop. So,
Not
yes.
this weekend.
Oh, yes, of course. This weekend is our favorite weekend. This is city cleanup days. Starting tomorrow, 8 o'clock is the start of our city cleanup days. We'll run from 8 until 4 tomorrow. And then on Saturday, we'll open again at 8 and we'll run. The landfill closes at 2, but we're gonna stay open until all of our dumpsters are full. So, we'll see where it goes. Usually Saturdays get really busy, so I'm assuming we're gonna be done by 3, maybe 4 at the very latest, but. I foresee we're done by 2 or 3 usually. we're gonna try to meet a little more folks to see if we can do a better job. There's also, homecoming on the 8th. They're gonna have their bonfire out at Sky High. So we'll be leaving a pile out there for that. I'll be working with the fire chief to make sure that it's not a huge pile, but it's just enough for the event and manageable for the fire department, so. And then that, just moving along, can't say enough about the crew, I love them. The guys, I mean, they do a ton of work and they get very little credit for what they do. So love the guys do that, absolutely love them to do that, we bust their butts day in, day out.
Appreciate it.
Thank you, all right, thanks.
Thank you, Rob. PD.
Good evening. So just to, the houses that Rob showed you with the weeds and alleyways with weeds. One thing that we've discussed with probation is to use their clients and community service hours. Essentially, we've talked with probation and we might hopefully get that going soon. I know Rob's team, they give us a huge offer. So for September, our calls for service, we had 704. Traffic accidents 10, reports taken 112. Code enforcement related calls 43. 13 arrests, 25 citations issued, 66 traffic stops and 92 agency assists. And the last thing I have is next week, I am starting an online college police staffing command course. It's 6 months long, and it's basically combined 6 courses. If they'll kind of over everything budget. Just looking at them, so I'm excited to start that and get that.
Good.
It's gonna be busy 6 months, but it'll be. So that's all I have. Any questions?
Thank you, Tyler.
All right, thank you.
How's the new officer, Tyler?
Good, we're gonna do first swearing and probably next. 16, please.
16th, okay.
Yep. Thank you.
Thank you. IT.
The mayor and council, and try and keep it short and sweet as per usual. This last month, we built 2 camera servers, one for the golf course, one for shops. We are getting ready to deploy the shops with camera servers, so that way they have full view of anything around the shop. That way, you know, somebody breaks in, somebody will just steal something, it's on camera, it's on record. They are protected. With the golf course, we did a full walkthrough with them as well, make any changes to any of the infrastructure there before they've been walled in. That way we have network drops or network runs where we need them for access points, cameras, whatever else that might be necessary in that building. And with that as well, we have their camera server built in back in my office, ready to be deployed whenever they are done with the new pro shop. We're continuing the security patches passwords. I'm not sure if anyone has noticed or had issues with their password lately. We have pushed out new rules with that, so that way anything that is unsecure or has been compromised once before is no longer able to be used. And we are just updating password hash at this point every single month of any compromised password. On the internet itself, we have updated the entire phone list that now hosts everybody's phones throughout the entire city hall, cell phones, anything else that is only internally facing, is not public whatsoever. So that way, anyone that needs to get a hold of, say, somebody in Public Works, PD, or anyone here just at the city in general, they can just look at that phone list on the internet and reach out. That way, everyone can kind of get in contact with you. And then we have a couple doors that we're having issues with. They just don't want to scan. We are currently evaluating those. One of them is the probation door that goes into the PD. The other one is the back door by the little carport going to the PD as well. Those are being evaluated and taking into consideration if they need to be replaced or if there's a way to repair them. And for the final thing, we pushed new desk phones all throughout the entire building. So we updated the phone system from the old short telephones to the newer Mitel phones. This is just kind of keep everything more modern, help everything just run a little more smoothly, as Short Hill was deprecated when we got it, Mitel is at least a little bit newer. And in my opinion, sounds a little bit better in some aspects, depending on which phone you had previously. Other than that, I don't have anything else, and is there any questions?
Anybody? What kind of cameras are you, what was the name?
We are continuing GeoVision cameras that we have around the building currently. It will be GeoVision there at the golf course, and we installed GeoVision there at shops as well. I believe they are 1440p, possibly 4K, I'm not entirely sure, I'll need to verify that. All right. Any other questions?
Thanks, Dawes.
Thank you guys. Anyone like it?
You as well, have a good weekend.
You all?
You gonna do this from your chair?
Yeah.
Yeah, I was gonna get a phone this one in.
I do. I'm gonna call a friend. Just some really good things. The DOLA leadership is going to be here tomorrow at 1:15 in Sky High. You've all been invited if you'd like to attend. It's only a 45-minute meeting. This is a different director, deputy director than the ones that approves the $1 million that they put into the program. So I think they just want to evaluate and see the building and see the progress that we've made as far as getting the generator project out there as well. So it's informal. They'll be in and out, but if you can make it and come by and say hi, that'd be great. You can thank them for the funding and their support. So many projects. We have hired a new director for Sky High. His name is Chris Baker. Chris is originally from Montana and currently lives in Colorado Springs. I'm very excited about him. He has more of the business sense of what an event and conference center is. He's got a ton of experience with marketing and with trade shows and building those sponsorships and relationships. And he's very personable. I think that he'll bring an aspect to Sky High that we haven't had there in the past, and that is truly the business piece of it. Instead of just, let's, our weddings, let's really put some more thought in how we can generate some revenue. And he is working, he understands we need it for recreation. When I brought it up to him again, he said after my interview with you, he says, I drove around town to come see the assets of the community. And he says, why wouldn't you want to use it for recreation? So he said all the right things. He wants to, right now with all these trade shows and things that he's produced throughout the country, he said, I'm ready to get back into a building. And he has managed buildings before. And so he says, I'm tired of the travel. And he'll be meeting here with his son and his girlfriend and their baby. So if you know of any 3-bedroom homes for rent, I'm gonna call on everybody, but it's been rough. So, anyway, soon you'll be with them. Now, the big news that I'm so excited to share is that Monte Vista, I was contacted probably this summer by this organization that puts together a magazine. It's called Business View Magazine. And I just kind of kept ignoring it. And I finally decided, I mean, they were persistent. So I finally called and said, okay, what do you want and why Monte Vista? Monte Vista, they've chosen Monte Vista as the top managed city of a population of 10,000 less.
Let's run with it.
Isn't that great?
It's like post it.
Post it. I mean, this is going to be such a positive PR piece for our community. So we did the interview with them this week. Yesterday, I could have 3 people, so it was myself. I asked Yvette Atencio with the Lord Foundation, and then I asked Jake Jeffel, which I don't know if you guys know Jake, But he's the one, he and his business partner own Tumbleweed Bread and Tomorrow's Bread, which is down at the corner of Third and Adams. Because Jake is middle 30s, I'm gonna guess. And so I wanted to be able to highlight a young entrepreneur that has set up a business in Monte Vista, making a go of it. All of their baking goods are very healthy choices. And so they've been experimenting with products where they can use rye that's grown here in Colorado, I mean, in the San Luis Valley, because rye uses less water than barley. And so he wants to be able to give our farmers an alternative as far as not barley. We're gonna need rye as we are looking at the water shortages. So they both did a great job, and this will likely be in their November edition. So it's really proud of my team because we couldn't get there without everybody. That's it.
I figured you were gonna talk about Christmas lights.
Well,
Well, let's miss it, I gotta.
Not that Rob's crew doesn't have enough to do.
I was thinking it's October, Rob. We're gonna have to get on that in a couple of weeks. I think I told you this. We worked with Excel and they're giving us 4 poles and they're supposed to be installing those poles. Yeah, because we told them we needed time to then get an electrician to put that electricity, but we'll have 2 poles down towards Sixth Street and South Broadway, and then we'll be replacing the 2 poles that we hang right here at Morrison. So.
Our banner poles.
Okay. So they'll have snowflakes across them. So that's all I've got. Staff, I think, held it together really well while I've been gone, and moved right along.
You doing well?
I'm doing good. It's with Jason, so you never can really explain what something, how bad it hurts, how it hurts on you.
Or that we can go through something really painful and be relieved afterwards.
Right, hopefully get to that point. Yeah. And then you may have noticed Rob is without his sling. So he's changing his decor. So we're all getting healthier around here.
No grass.
Tassels hanging off the line.
That too, that's a lot to go through. Okay. Good deal.
2 weeks. Very good. Thank you, Gigi. Ready to council committee, city commission, council reports. Brad? Lauren? Nothing? Jason? Victor?
I just wanna thank God for all y'all. You know, y'all are been part of my third Thursday meeting for a while now, so just wanna say thank you.
All right, with that, again, as always, if you see something, say something. A lot of stuff going on. You know, trying to get sneakier about it, so pay attention to your surroundings all the time. I reach out to my wife and daughter all the time, and my daughter lives in a very small community right now, but they, pay attention to what's going on around you, so we will recess this meeting until, October 16th at 6 p.m. Bonnie Strong.
Read it. Yep.